Hello, and welcome to this episode of 49 Faithfullee. I'm your host, Miriah, and as always, joined by my co host, TL. What's up, TL?
What up? How you doing, Mariah?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Thankfully, on my weekend finally, so
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking about it. Like, dang, we're like literally a week away from Thanksgiving, so I only have to work 4 more days until I get a 5-day weekend. So I'm happy.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah.
I don't get that, working in a casino. We don't get
Yeah.
that.
Them
We don't
fools
get
don't care.
holidays off.
Yeah, I know. When I was a bellman at the Monte Carlo, which is now the what is it called now? Whatever it's called. After they changed the name from Monte Carlo, like it sucked. I worked Christmas, New Year's, and fools don't care.
No, and they don't
Yeah.
pay you extra, nothing,
Nope.
It's like, and casinos surely don't close. So before we get into it, I want to start us off by reading a quote that Kyle Shanahan, well, something that Kyle Shanahan had said. I think it was in a presser this week. Um, we're not going to talk about it yet. We're going to come back to it, but I just want to throw it out there for now. So he says Trey has the whole playbook in his head. If he was able, or he was able to do that in training camp. It's about going through it full speed at game time tempo, going against the blitzes and all that stuff that can surprise you. That just comes with experience. So we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Um, so we beat LA, we beat the Rams. We're now 5-0 in the last 5 games that we've had against them.
Yeah.
And not only did we beat them, like we beat the crap out of them. 31-10. Um, this was a game that the team definitely needed. We'll start off with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they needed a win at home. It sucks that they had to go through everything that they went through to finally get this win. But I think it's definitely something that was needed. You could just tell in the pressers after the game that the players it was just like a sigh of relief, right? If only for a day or 24 hours or whatever it is, it was at least a little bit of a relief to them to finally get that win. And, at least get a win for the fans too, that, not just us that are at home, but the fans that have been there constantly going to the games, paying all that money to get there, go there, to finally actually see the team win at home is nice. So what did you think about this game?
I came out impressed. To be honest, I'm not going to sit here and say 2019 vibes because I don't feel like that's what it was. But I feel like this is the first time I've seen the team on defense play physical. Like I feel like they were out there hitting. From all levels. I don't feel like the D line got home a lot, but at the same time, I feel like the linebackers and the secondary, especially the safeties, made up for it because when people got to the second level, they were getting smacked around. The running backs, it looks like I feel like the way that we were playing physical made the Rams drop balls. I feel like how like when we had Deshaun Golson and Dante Whitner, people would come over the middle and they would alligator arm stuff because they're like,
Right.
oh crap, I'm not catching this because I don't want to get hit.
Right.
But I feel like like Tyler Higbee, on that out route he dropped, like he heard footsteps, so he dropped. Cooper Cup dropped the ball, so I'm very proud of this defense, and I want the fire D'Amico Ryan slander to stop because he's playing better in his first year than Robert Saleh did. And I feel like he's playing with less talent than Robert Saleh had. You know what I'm saying? As far
Right.
as like, so yeah, I'm very proud of him. We played like you always talk about, I'm gonna steal this from you. Is I feel like we played all three levels of football. At least, all of us we all had an A grade. Special teams played great. And people, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter. People need to start giving Mitch Wishnowsky his props. I'm seeing all this vote to the Pro Bowl, and his name is never on it.
Right.
Shame on you 49er fans. He's been lights out. He's
Yeah,
been
he
balling.
has.
He's been lights out. So you need to give Mitch Wishnowsky his props. So, yeah, I feel like we played all three levels great. I feel like the offense was probably an A minus, and then you look at the defense and the special teams. I give those an A. So if we continue to play this complete level of football, I like our chances, and I might have to eat crow because I did say if we made the playoffs with Jimmy starting at quarterback, regardless of the situation, whether he plays bad or not, I'm going to be a man of my word. But if we make the playoffs with Jimmy playing the rest of the season at quarterback, I'm going to buy, one of our subscribers a hat and a T-shirt of their choice. So yeah, good, Michael. I'm proud of you, man, because I haven't seen him get enough credit at all. But yeah, that's what I think. I mean, um, and I'm going to give Jimmy his props. I mean, he played well. I mean, and I'm not trying to be negative, but we need to stop saying he played a great game. He managed the game and he played a solid game. I wouldn't call 182 yards and 2 touchdowns great. He did his job. So yeah, if we can eliminate, him throwing the ball more than 20 times and run the ball 40 times like we did, I like our chances. And looking at this game that's on TV right now, Atlanta Falcons are losing, and they're tied with us as far as like for seventh place of the playoff spot. So as long as things swing our way, we might be okay.
Speaking of, the Falcons being tied with us, it's crazy because I was watching that game earlier and, without even knowing their record till you just said that, or where they're, where they were in standings, I'm thinking, man, this team is horrible, like they're really bad. And, that's good that they're tied with us.
Yeah.
It's funny that you said that about Jimmy, because that's one of the things I had written down too, is that's all I've heard all week, is Jimmy had a great game. Jimmy's had the best 3 games of his career, and 2 games or whatever, and it's just like, we're really calling a great game. We're calling Jimmy's game great for him doing things that quarterbacks should do every game. This is stuff that Jimmy should be doing every week in and week out. That's not great, because he can finally consistently put together 2 games, that had decent, like no turnovers, decent, okay. It's like, this is basic quarterback things. Like,
Absolutely.
This is what our expectations are now.
Sad. Somebody got pissed off at me on Spaces the other day because I told him, I go, Jimmy is Teddy Bridgewater with top quarterback money. That's how I see him. He's Teddy Bridgewater. He's Taylor Heineke. Like, he's not up there. So for us to be sitting here celebrating these games, I think what he's had in 3 games is what an elite quarterback has in 1 game. I mean, you just saw Patrick Mahomes throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's a great game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I understand that's not average. You're not going to see 400 yards and 5 touchdowns every game, but that's a great game. I feel like for Jimmy, a great game would be like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, his Saints game to me was a great game.
Right.
That's what I would consider a great game. These games, they've been solid. Like, let's don't get ahead of ourselves here and think like he's setting the world on fire.
Yeah. I don't think a team can rush as many times as we rushed and the quarterback have a great game. If so, like, he better be, whatever, 15 for 15, 17 for 17, like perfect numbers to have a great game with only throwing that many passes as a professional quarterback.
Totally agree.
And yeah, the 49ers looked, good on all 3 levels. And I think the Rams looked a mess on all 3 levels.
Oh, most definitely.
And I would say on all 4 levels, as far as going with the coaching too.
Oh,
the coaching
sure.
On both sides of the ball, horrible. And I don't know if just Kyle's in Sean McVay's head or what is going on, but when we play the Rams, McVay is like a completely night and day different coach, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like he's intimidated by Kyle or something.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? And what gets me mad, and I don't know, I mean, maybe Kyle's now is like, it's funny. I was laughing the other day. What's up, John V? I was laughing the other day because I was like, man, maybe John York should come to every football practice.
Right.
As he showed up, he came all the way from Youngstown, Ohio to speak to them. And obviously nobody knew what they were talking about, but everybody was reporting it like, oh, look at John York, look at John York. And all of a sudden we play a fabulous game. We played a complete team game that we haven't seen all season. So it's just kind of funny to me that you look at that and that's what happened. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I hope Kyle isn't one of those guys who was like, well, I'm going to show my protege up and I'm going to out game plan him, because you should have that mindset every single week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what kind of bugs me about it. But, but going forward, we do have 8 more games. Hopefully, he's in his bag like he was against the Rams, and hopefully, this builds confidence for the team.
Yeah, and I think, what we saw against the Rams is what, most of us went into this season thinking the 49ers were, right?
Mhm.
A run first team, ground and pound, no matter what defense you throw at us, we're going to run the ball,
Yeah,
and defense stepping up, defense making plays, being physical. Special teams, has been pretty solid all year.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, this is what we were all expecting that this team was going to be,
Hmm.
So, um,
I'm going to say something real quick before we move into that. So remember last week when we were doing our game predictions, I had told you I go something was fishy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't want you guys thinking that, but I felt there. I saw the spread, and that spread to me, and I have a rule whenever I bet. I don't bet on primetime games, and I don't bet when the spread's too good to be true. And this had both of them. It
right,
was a primetime game because I feel like primetime games it's always surprises. And two, Rams being -4 for the whole week and the spread not moving showed me that everybody and their mom was betting on the Rams to win that game. And you and I know, and I worked at a casino, and you work at the casino currently. Casinos don't lose money on betting.
right,
Let's be real here. Vegas knows what it's doing when it comes to these point spreads, so they knew something we didn't. So that's why I was kind of like, I don't know. I think we have a chance to win this game because the Rams, if you asked any better or anybody who just, let's just say an average football fan, who's going to win Monday night, the Rams or the Niners? Oh, for sure, the Rams are going to win. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
so that this win does not surprise me at all, especially because too, like you said, it's like Kyle is like Sean McVay's daddy. Like he's just like he goes in there and he grabs the belt and like he punishes him. You know what I mean? It's just like Sean McVay just cannot beat this guy. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. But yeah, that game just didn't feel right for me. So I felt like the Niners did have a chance.
yeah. It's just McVay just looks like you see him like pacing up and down the sidelines, and his vibe, his everything is just completely different when he plays us. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like he's just like you said, if he's just intimidated with Kyle being over there, or or if it's like gotten in his head now that we've beaten him 5 times in a row. Maybe now it's in his head. It's
Maybe.
starting to build up game by game. I don't know, but
Yeah, and then you look at his play calling, it looks like he didn't even want to win. Like we got the ball after halftime, and it was what was it, 14 or 20? I don't remember. What was it, 14-0? And then it's like you had a chance to put points on the board, but yet you sit there and you do a fake punt. Like, why would you do that? Like, even when he called, I was like, why would you do that? You had a chance to put some points on the board and go into halftime with a 1-score game or whatever it was. I know, maybe a 2-score game.
yeah,
But it's like, why would you even make a play call like that? It'd be different if you were getting the ball at halftime, but you weren't. So it was just one of those things where it's like, I feel like Kyle gets in his head where he's like, I have to pull tricks out of my tail because I need to do something to put points on the board. When it's like, if I mean, and I'm glad he played like that. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But it's like if Sean McVay, if he played, if he called a game like he does every single week against every other opponent, he might have had a chance to win the game. So it didn't make any sense why he was doing all this stuff because I don't see him doing that when I see him play other teams. And two, I really think Robert Woods messed up that chemistry. I know they had Odell, but Odell wasn't even acclimated. Like he just got there. Robert Woods going down and tearing his ACL. I felt like that took a lot of pressure off of Matt Stafford as far as like, man, like now I really only have Tyler Higbee and Cup, even though
right.
you do have an Odell Beckham, but it's not the same when he had been there, 5 days or whatever, a week. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
and he
think
was
that
only in, I think, what, like 15 plays or
15 plays or yeah, like it wasn't
something.
a lot. But I think and Matthew Stafford has this rapport with Cup and Robert Woods, so I think that had a lot to do with it as well. So
Yeah, real quick. Just want to say what's up, Mike, Media, Joel, JV. Thanks for coming, kick it with us. Appreciate you guys.
appreciate you guys.
Um, JV's sipping bourbon, so who knows what's about to be
Yeah,
in
I
this
saw
chat.
that. Yeah, I saw that sipping bourbon. That's not a good idea. With John V.
Um, so yeah, Well, actually, before we jump into next week, we're gonna start doing a, I don't know what we're gonna call it yet, kind of like a little game ball, one for the offense and one for the defense, from each of us each week, because we know, after a win, the shows can be a little positive, but after losses, things obviously tend to go in the negative direction, and um, you know, keep things, even if we lose, there's still players, I'm sure, that are doing something right. So why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Okay. Um, so first and foremost on offense, going into this game, what worried me the most was that right side of the offensive line. It terrified me. I'm like, man, and it's funny. It's like, how much do we really appreciate Mike McGlinchey? You know what I mean? Because it's like
Right.
he went down, and it's like, I mean, you look at the paper and you like Daniel Brunskill and Tom Compton, we're in trouble. And then Jalen Moore got hurt, which I hope he recovers nicely. I don't know exactly what happened to him yet. Have you got a report on him and how long he's going to be out?
No.
So that, yeah, so I need to wait for that. But I'm going to give Daniel Brunskill his props. Offensive line played well. I mean, you expect it on the left side of the line, but the way the right side played, I was pretty impressed going to that game with those two players. But I don't know, for some reason when it comes to Daniel Brunskill, and it's funny because it's like, why don't you play on an elite level like you play when like you're playing Aaron Donald?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Like, you let these fifth rounders, these lower level guys sit there and dominate you, but then you got probably the best defensive lineman in football, and then yet he gets no pressure and you play him well. I don't understand that. I don't think I ever will, but I give Daniel Brunskill his props. He played well, and I give and then too, I look at it too. I think the offensive line played pretty well too because Jimmy was getting rid of the ball pretty quick.
Right.
So, but yeah, I give
And
Daniel
running a lot.
Brunskill and running a lot. Yeah. As far as defense, I'm gonna go Aziz Al-Shaair. I feel like he played great. Like I said, I love, from a guy who played football from Pop Warner all the way to football in the military when I played on base. And no, I didn't play for the Navy team, college team. I played when I was in the Navy. We had tackle football leagues on base, but I played from the ages of 8 to 20, and the fact that I'm a physical player. I played fullback. I played linebacker. I don't like soft. I don't like being soft. So the way he was out there cracking fools, wrapping up. I mean, he was giving people. He was laying the helmet out there. So yeah, I just like the way he played. So Aziz gets the ball. Yeah, that's who gets it.
Yeah. I think Aziz, had a great game, especially, after last week having, and he even said today in his presser, one of, if not the worst game of his professional career last week. And the way that he came back this week, and I think that's, that's what we want to see from players, not letting the bad games stack up, right? And that's something that they talk about all the time. And it's good to see that, he was able to come back this week and really dominate out there. For offense, I'm gonna go Kittle.
Okay.
I think first off, it was his first time of his career having back-to-back games with a touchdown. So that's nice to see, him finally getting used down there, and I think just having him back the last two games, you can really tell there's a huge difference, not just in the way the team plays, but like the team's chemistry, just everything seems to, flow a little bit better when Kittle's out there. Yeah. And for defense, I'm going to go with a pairing.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ward and Hufanga.
Nice.
I think that they played, obviously Ward had a great game and is probably, a big reason why we won that game.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that he played great out there. And, the way Huff came, like he just plays with this energy, this, like every play, you can tell, like, it just reminds me, like, he just seems so much younger than everybody else out there, right? Like, he's so much more full of energy and spunk than everybody else, like, he just there ready to go every play, and he just like brings like that physical, like he's not afraid to like get out there and really hit somebody, like just put the pounding on somebody. And I think having those two out there together was a great pair.
Yeah.
And Ward even talked about that, too, which I'm surprised because him and Tart have played together so long. um I was interested to see what he was going to say, about playing with him out there, and it was all positive things. So yeah, I think they did great.
Yeah. To go back off of you, what I was impressed about too, because Kittle's always been, everybody always says like when he gets his touchdowns, a lot of it is his yak, but he actually did a good job and scored when we were in the red zone. So so that's a big plus because usually we don't get Kittle scoring when we're in the red zone. But
Right.
and then as far as the DBs, yeah, you're absolutely right about Hufanga, and it's funny because you look at Hufanga. I think other than his nagging injuries and his speed, I think we got to steal because I feel like the way he plays, and everybody wants to talk about speed, and I get it. NFL, especially secondary, you got to have speed, but ever, um, nobody ever accounts for like game speed. They always want to know what your 40 time is.
Right.
So you look at Hufanga, he ran a 4.65 or 4.66, whatever the case may be. But you look on the field, he's faster than that. Absolutely, he's faster than that. So I feel like we got to steal. Like I feel like he had like second or third round value, and he was picked a few rounds too late. So I'm glad we got him. There's Adam Peters and Lynch and them doing their thing and getting these fifth and sixth rounders, to excel on this team. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Amari. And I feel like, and I know Tart's a better cover guy than Hufanga, but I think that's going to come with time. But I think Tarto, that's who Mariah's saying right there. And I think, the way it looked, and I know they've only played a couple games together, I feel like Tart and Hufanga complement each other very well.
Yeah. And that was what my next question for you was going to be, that, they had asked Shanahan whether or not with Tart coming back, he was going to get his job back.
Mhm.
And he didn't say for sure that, he is. And another one is Greenlaw. So do you think that either of those players, if not both or neither, should get their jobs back?
No, let them earn it back the way that we've been playing, especially too because you just came off such a big win. I don't think that you should change anything. Like just let it play how you played it out last time. Like I said, look, they had great chemistry, and with Tart, he's a good guy and stuff. But you know what? He's on his last year deal. Like he's always heard, go with Hafanga, let him get his reps, and then too. But I wouldn't be surprised if we make the playoffs or whatever, if Kyle would be like, well, I'm going to put back Tart just because he has that playoff experience. But as
Right.
far as the linebackers, Aziz has been doing a phenomenal job. I think for Greenlaw, I think you give him Marcel Harris snaps right now. Like when Harris comes in, he shouldn't come in anymore. I feel like, if you do a three linebacker, set, whatever the case may be, it always should be Warner, Greenlaw, and Aziz. Like those three should be your main three linebackers. But as far as like when they play the nickel sometimes, or they play, we'll only have the two linebackers in, I think you can also argue it depends on the down. So if it's third down, if you want to put in Dre Greenlaw, because he's a better cover linebacker, fine. But I think Aziz, he should come in our net, yeah, John. But I think for as Aziz, yeah, I think he's deserved the right to keep start. Because I feel like the thing about it is when you start changing stuff around, I feel like that's when you mess up the chemistry. Like I don't know why you would play a defensive game like you just did, and be like, oh, we're gonna bring back Drake Greenlaw who hasn't played since week one. Why would you do that?
Right.
Ease them in, if anything, and then the way the secondary played, don't change it up. Like leave it as is until you start seeing a struggle.
Right. And I think, we saw Greenlaw in that role before, when Quan was here, right? So,
Mhm.
I think that that's a role that Greenlaw is familiar with. I think, and if we're putting, our best players out there on the field, I don't think that we can say that's Greenlaw right now,
Yeah.
and, I agree until that can be shown. And then, yeah, obviously, I agree also with Tart because, like you said, this is his last year with us. I highly doubt that we re-sign him. because of the injury history. He's always injured. I don't think that we've got a full season from him in ever. It's like it's always one thing or the other, and I know that's not his fault, but at some point we have to stop relying on these, players with injuries and
Yep.
get the experience for, our young guys out there.
You're right, Mariah. And here's what I'll go off of that. If you're going to treat the quarterback position that way, treat every position that way. If you're going to sit there and say, I'm not going to make a change at quarterback because Jimmy's playing well and this isn't that, treat all players like that. If Aziz is playing well, because the last thing, like I said, you want to do is like, if I'm D'Amico Ryans, I'd kind of be pissed off. Like if Kyle tries to jump in and says, hey, do this and that. Or it's like, what are you telling Hafanga? You
Right.
suck, bro. We're gonna put Tart back in, even though you had a heck of a game. Like you just don't do that, especially
Right.
somebody who you drafted to be part of your future. When the other guy he's replacing is gonna be gone in 8 games.
Yep. And that's why exactly I agree with this, that Norman needs to sit. Norman's needed to sit. I still don't know why we're rolling Norman out there every week.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say
when
this: when he played, I didn't hear his name called, so that's a good thing. But how can you? Are you gonna count on that every week? You know what I'm saying?
right,
So, yeah. So
exactly. So yeah, we are now going to Jacksonville, and they're currently 2-7. This is, well, I'll wait. What do you think? How are you feeling about this game?
I don't know. I don't know what 49er team is going to show up. Is the team against the Colts going to show up? Or is the team against the Lions going to show up? Who's going to show up? So I don't know. I'm not comfortable. They have to show me, if they have to show me 3 consecutive good games as a whole, not just the defense playing well, offensive playing poorly. I need to see this team play as a team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Before I'm comfortable saying that we're going to go in there and dominate, because people need to understand 2 weeks ago, Jacksonville beat the Buffalo Bills in Jacksonville 6-9. They gave up 6 points to that potent Bills offense. Then they go to Indy, which I know it's a division game, so you always play your division opponent well. We lost to Indy. Okay. They went into Indy's house, who's Jacksonville people will say is not as a good team of us, and they had Indy on the ropes. Indy scored the last fourth quarter touchdown to go up in that game and end up winning 23-16. Or yeah, so it's not going to be. We need to go in there, and Jags are ninth against the run. So, yep, top 10 against the run. They have a nice young defense.
Yeah,
They're just young. I don't really consider them a bad team. I think they're just an inexperienced team. They're one of
I
the
agree.
youngest teams in football. So, they have a pretty good D line. I mean, I'm pretty sure Trent Williams is going to be going to be guarding Josh Allen, because he had a field day against the other Josh Allen quarterback. He had an intercept. He had like everything that you can do. He had a sack, a fumble, a forced fumble recovery, and an interception. He went in there and dominated that offensive line. So we can't go in there thinking, oh, we dominated the Rams, so we're going to go in there and, what do they call it? A hat and t-shirt game. We're just going
Yeah.
to sit there and relax. Like, they better not. They need to go in there focus. I don't like it because, one, we're on a short week, and two, we're going East Coast at an early game, which when we played the Lions, we beat them, but we stayed on the East Coast. We stayed in
Yeah.
West Virginia, and then so when we flew to Philly, there was no jet lag. There was no long flights. It was a direct flight. So I just feel like 49ers need to keep their head up, keep that focus, and not take this team lightly, because they've been playing well the last 3 weeks. They won 1 out of 3, but they've been keeping every team close. And the 49ers haven't showed me that when a game is close that they can really close it out. So
Yeah, you pretty much hit on everything that I had written down. One thing that we didn't talk about real quick is Mitchell had surgery on a broken finger. He's yet to practice, and I don't know if he's going to be playing or not. And that's pretty much been our entire run game for the last few weeks. So if he doesn't play, what's our run game then looking like against the Jags defense that's ninth against the run.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because Jeff Wilson, although he looked good on Monday, he was playing very physical. We need to expect for him to go in there and probably get the bulk of the carries because, obviously Kyle doesn't trust Trey Sermon yet because he's still not saying any burn. So if Elijah doesn't play, I think we're going to run the ball just like we did against the Rams. I feel like you'll get like probably 25 carries from Jeff Wilson, and you'll probably get, what, with the injury at the running back, I like to see Kyle Juszczyk get a few carries as well, like especially like on short down. But I think you might see 25 carries from Jeff Wilson, and then maybe you'll get like five to seven carries from Trey Sermon. I think you're going to have to play him if Elijah Mitchell doesn't play because Hasty's still banged up too. So.
Right. Yeah, I heard that he did have a no contact jersey on today. However, he still ended up as a non-participant on the injury report.
Yeah. I don't think
So
I'd
they
play him.
didn't get enough out of him to even be limited.
I don't think I'd play him. I mean, trust your run game, trust the receiver, the higher receiver that you drafted in the third round. So trust him, trust just because you know how teams are. You get the oh, he has a hurt finger, he hasn't played or practiced. What are players going to do? Go after his finger.
Right.
So don't even play him. Let that thing heal. It's not worth it. I mean, I get it. We're trying to make a playoff run, and right now he is your best running back. But honestly, and I know it's any given Sunday, but look, if we're a playoff team, you have to go in there and beat Jacksonville. I mean, I understand they beat the Bills. I get it. But at the same time, how many of those games are they really going to have?
Right.
So we need to go in there and just dominate. And if one player is the factor of us losing to Jacksonville, then we're probably not a playoff team.
Yeah. And this isn't the only injury Mitchell has, right? So, he's been nursing other injuries, and, that's, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable, them just throwing him out there.
Yeah.
And like you said, players going after that hand, is he going to be able to even protect the football, in that case? And then like he's saying, like, what is the deal? We still don't know what's going on with Trey Sermon. It's like, it's crazy, right? It's like, what could he have possibly done or not done, or
that I'm done trying to figure out Kyle. Like, I mean, the Ayuk situation, was a mess, and then he finally go out. But like you and I talked about last time, I don't think Trey Sermon is already, probably like third. No, I would say he's fourth on the depth chart because Jermichael Hasty was even getting more burn than him. So Trey Sermon being a rookie probably doesn't want to get on Kyle's bad side as he already is. So he's probably just like keeping his mouth shut and stuff. But yeah, maybe it's like, or but sometimes you got to be your own advocate. I'd be in there with Kyle and John and Mike McDaniels and them say, hey, what do I got to do to start? What do I got to do to get more carries? Because, I mean, I'm not saying that conversation hasn't been done, but at the same time, Trey Sermon, be your own advocate, man. Hey, I need to get some carries. You guys took a chance on me. You traded up to get me in the third round, so I would like some steps. Let me show you. Because sometimes, and two, I get it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that Kyle making a bad decision, but there's just players who perform better in game time situation than practice. Sometimes people, and sometimes it's opposite. You have the practice players who get into game time and they panic because it's a real time situation. Then you got players in practice who might be fumbling or whatever the case may be. And I get it. That's a mistake you don't want to see. But then you put them in game time situations and they're killing it. So I think Trey just needs to go to Kyle like in a respectful manner. Hey, with Elijah being hurt, I like to see at least 10 snaps. Let me get my feet wet and get out there and show you what I can do. You know what I mean? All it takes is just that one time where you get some great blocking and then you break away. You know what I mean? So.
All right. And while we're talking about this Trey, let's go back to the other Trey real quick and back to Kyle's comment. And, back to how much can a player possibly learn, after they know the playbook, after they've done as many mental reps that they can possibly do, after, they've done scout team and whatever they could possibly do by not being in a game. What now is Either Trey is supposed to learn by sitting on the bench,
Hmm.
and we have our head coach coming out and telling us, that our quarterback can't learn anything else until he's in a game learning, until he has game experience. So, I mean, could this possibly like be the same thing with Trey Sermon? Like how what is it going to take to get him out there so that we can see? It's week 11. The last time we seen him was what, week at
Think
the beginning,
I don't remember.
four
I'm trying to think the
somewhere.
last time. I think I'm trying to figure out the last time he got any significant snaps. I don't even remember. I think he played. He got hurt in that Eagles game, right? Is that when he came in and got that concussion?
Yeah,
So then he was out. I'm trying to think back. Yeah, I don't think
and then
he's
it's like he
gotten any
came
more.
back for a little bit and didn't get
Yeah,
much of anything. So it's like,
yeah, I don't. Yeah,
hopefully if Mitchell is out, Trey's gonna have to be active.
yeah,
He's gonna have to be dressed. It can't just be Jeff Wilson Jr. and
and
nobody.
and Kyle Juszczyk. That's really what
Yeah,
you. Even that game. What was it? What were we playing? I think it was the Packers game when Trey was healthy enough to play, but then they ran Kyle Juszczyk a few times. So you know
right.
what I mean. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle did that. If he's like, you know what, he's still in my dog house or whatever you want to call it, and then he's gonna sit there and be like, well, I'm gonna give Jeff Wilson 25 to 30 carries. What's up, I mean, 25 to 30 carries, and I'm gonna, and then to spill him, I'm gonna give all the carries to Kyle Juszczyk. Like, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that.
Yeah, we'll see Juice out there for the first play of the game again as running back. And I hope that's not the case. Like I like Juice, and
Oh, for sure.
I wanted to see him get used more, but when we have running backs on the team that we drafted with high draft capital and they're just sitting on the bench for who knows what reason, you know, um, that's a little upsetting. And I think that's something that we've talked about all season, right?
Yeah.
With our rookies just sitting on the bench wasting away, I guess.
I think with Kyle, he needs to just stop drafting running backs high and just get your Matt Breidas, your Raheem Mosters who aren't drafted, your Elijah Mitchell 6th round pick, because you look at the two running backs he drafted similarly, somewhat high and traded up for both of them aren't getting any burn. Like Joe Williams was one. He was out of the league in 2 years when he had to have him as we saw in that article. Had to have him after he was taken off the tearing out your. Yes, I am. So it's like he's sitting there. I see you got the 5.59. I think we talked. I think you're from Fresno, like I am. But anyway, yeah. So you look at that, and it's like I don't know, but it's comical to me that his 5th and 6th rounders, whether it's Lenore, Jalen Moore, Hafanga, and Eli Mitchell are getting all the burn, get the higher draft picks are just sitting because who God knows why. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm gonna sit my high ranked guys like Banks and Thomas and Lance and Sermon, but you know what, Lenore and Moore and Elijah Mitchell, Hafanga, you go out there and get all the burn you need. I don't get it. I don't know. It's
Right.
funny.
And especially like, last week when, it's pretty much a blowout. The Rams started sitting their players because there was at a point where, they're not going to come back. It's like, why aren't you putting, at least Lance in there to just hand the ball off? That's all Jimmy did the last, two series or whatever.
For
Is just
sure.
hand the ball off, hand the ball off. At least that gives him that kind of, experience.
Get some those
It's like,
reps. Yeah.
but no, not we don't see him at all again. So we keep hearing about, and that's all he had talked about was that there's packages, there's packages, there's packages. Yet we still haven't seen Trey whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's what kind of bothers me too. And it's like, and I get it. Like, I'm kind of afraid, like, if we keep this up, and like I said, I don't know how I've been, I don't know how I can take this as far as, let me see. So you look at the situation. If the team plays the way they have been the next 8 games, I'm afraid we're not going to see Trey at all. I feel like he's just going to sit, won't get any snaps. But what scares me about that is, it's like what comes time to it when Jimmy, what if he gets hurt or something like that? Um,
I was
like,
waiting to say this.
What?
The same
What's up?
exact thing.
Terrence Magic, all right? Hey, pretty good. Hey, we beat the Knicks the other night. I'm happy about that. No, I'm just playing. We're not as good as the Warriors or nothing, but Mariah. But
I wasn't talking about your basketball team. I'm talking about Taryn being Magic.
oh, as you can tell in the screenshots, I'm pretty good. But anyway, no, yeah, I just I think regardless of the situation, Trey needs to get at least 5 to 7 snaps a game. Whether it's in the hand, whether it's a handoff, like you said, whatever the case may be. Like when we were up, when Adebo Samuel scored that touchdown to make it 31-7, there was no reason why Trey didn't get any snaps. Game was pretty much out of hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should have just said, you know what, we're gonna put you in for 2 or 3 series, because the game was pretty much over. So I don't know. Like I wish he would just, and like you said, like you were saying about him saying, "Oh, Trey knows the whole play, but he just needs reps." Well, I think Kyle's trolling. I think he's messing with everybody. He knows how much everybody wants to see Trey and all this other stuff, and I get it. Like I had posted before, and I was like, as much as I want to see Trey play, because I'm all about the team's future, and I get it. You want to make it into the dance. Once you make it into the dance, there's something that's going to happen. I mean, you can beat whoever. But at the same time, it's like when you get in the playoffs, Kyle has shown in the playoffs he doesn't even trust his quarterback.
Right.
So, so it's one of those things where it's like I look at the future, and it's like we had talked about this before, Mariah, and I know we need to get through this season first and play the rest of the season how it plays out. But then it's like I feel like with Trey not playing at all and getting any reps, I feel like even if we make the playoffs, we might not be as good next year. Like you're supposed to be progressing, not regressing.
Right.
So I feel like even if we do get in the dance at 9 and 8 and 10 and 7, with Trey not getting any reps, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes out there and Patrick Mahomes at his second year. That would be amazing. That's just so rare that you see that. I feel like we can go from 10 and 7 to possibly 6 and 11 because Trey doesn't have the experience. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what scares me.
You know the answer to this?
Let Ambry Thomas get a chance, see how much he has improved as far as technique. I totally agree. I'm a Wolverines fan, so I'm gonna advocate for Ambry Thomas at all at all costs. But I think what it is with Ambry Thomas is, and this is why I question
Oh my
things
God.
that go on. Ambry Thomas, he didn't play all of 2021, or I'm sorry, all of 2020. He sat out because of COVID. At Michigan, he played 2 years and he was great. He played special teams. He was a kickoff returner, punt returner, and he played man coverage. He shuts him down playing man. However, I was talking to somebody on Spaces the other day, and I never played corner. I never had the speed to play corner. I was like a 4.5, 4.6 guy when I played football. So you're looking at the speed, and I was like, and I asked somebody, it's like, hey, is it hard to transition as a corner going from man to zone? And some guy answered, he was like, yeah, it's harder to go from zone to man than it's harder to go from man to zone than zone to man. And that's what's happened with Ambry Thomas. He was a man cover guy. Now you're trying to teach him how to play zone. So I feel like that's one of the reasons why he's struggling. He's learning a new scheme. On top of that, not playing the whole season. So trying to get his footing right, trying to get, a new scheme that he's trying to learn, trying to play. He's pretty much trying to play corner a different way than what he's known. So I would still let him play though. Like I would still let him play. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't start him or nothing like that. I want to start the exact same defense that we had against the Rams, just to see if it wasn't a fluke or not, just to see what happens. But if you start seeing Josh Norman getting burnt and we're losing the game, just put Ambry Thomas in.
Right.
What worse can he do? So yeah, I agree with you, Moses.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
If we come out and lose this week
Mm-hmm.
and Jimmy doesn't play great,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy doesn't play good, what happens?
Jimmy will start against the Minnesota Vikings because Atlanta Falcons just lost. So we're still in play. I don't know if they lost or not, but they're going to lose. Yeah. Yeah, they lost 25-0
Oh, wow.
at home in Atlanta. So now they're 4-6. So we're both if we're 4-6 and we lose, that means that we still have a chance to get in because they lost. So yeah, Jimmy will start against the Vikings if we lose this game, in my opinion.
That's depressing. um so yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how our Mitchell-less run game, if he doesn't play, does stack up against Jacksonville. Um, I I don't know. I
Yeah,
still, like you said, us traveling on a short week, a 10 a.m. game, and I'm just not sold, that we're going to see the same team again. Like, especially since this is the team that we've seen when we play the Rams, so it's like, is this just a Ram beating team that showed up, a team that you know got their asses kicked the week before at home on national TV, that the media, that former 49ers, Hall of Fame players were shaming all week, a team that just showed up because they had something to prove, and now they're going to travel across the United States and lose to a Jaguars team that, let's be honest, they're, like you said, they're young, and they're a team that's playing their young stars, their young players, because they don't have nobody else to play.
yeah, they're
And
young.
so they're
Yeah,
they're getting those reps.
yep.
They're getting better. That's what's going to happen. They have, the number one overall pick. They have a good defense.
Decent weapons, a
Yeah.
decent running game, but a great run stopping defenses, which we're good at. And this is the thing, like people need to understand. Me and Mariah are realists. Me and Mariah aren't prisoners of the moment. Too many people are sitting there and they're like, "Oh, you guys are people are being negative. Like, you know, we're gonna go on a run." I hope so. Like, don't get me and Mariah wrong. We hope we go on a run. It's just a simple fact is what have you guys done this whole season? You showed us nothing but inconsistency.
Right.
You showed us that you can be beat by whoever. Like, I feel like all of our games, it could have went either way, except for maybe the Lions game. But like you went into like I would say at least after the Packers game, most people were picking us to lose every week. So that just goes to show you that we haven't been looked at as a good team. So the fact that people are, oh, we're gonna go down and just beat the brakes off of Jacksonville. I hope so. I just don't see it because I haven't seen enough consistency. And and this is not a hate on Jimmy, but you look at everything. Yeah, you're right. It looks great because we pretty much control our own destiny.
Right.
Like we go in and we beat Jacksonville, and then we come back home and beat the Vikings. That what puts us at what 6-5. We're not looking too bad. So it's just one of those things where it's like, our like Mariah said, run game was well, and the run game wasn't really all that. It's just we ran the ball a lot.
Right.
That's what I think we controlled the clock. We controlled the clock, and Jimmy converted on third down. That's why we were able to get what we're doing. But if we can run the rock to eat clock, if we can play great defense, and our special teams don't mess it up, that's how we're going to win these games. Because I feel like when it comes down to Jimmy has to have everything working perfectly for him to succeed.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because when something's not working, like look at the Arizona game. That's a perfect example. Defense played like crap, but Jimmy, and I understand we had two fumbles. I get that, but Jimmy didn't elevate us as well. And I feel like this is the first time because I feel like ever since the Colts game, I feel like Kyle's been playing been calling a pretty good game. He played, even though we lost against the Colts and we lost against Arizona, the game plans weren't bad because we saw nothing but open wide receivers. It's just that Jimmy wasn't hitting them.
And
So
I
go
think
ahead,
that's one
Mariah.
of the things. That's one of the things that that we dislike about Jimmy. Right? Is that shit? I just totally lost my thought. What did you just say?
About everything has to be working well, the rush
Yeah.
game, and yeah,
Is that we don't have that quarterback that that can take the team on his back and win a game. Everything has to be working perfectly around him for us to win a game. And I think we've seen the first 10 weeks, the first 9 weeks, that everything wasn't perfect around him. And look at the results,
Yep.
and that's why, that we don't hate Jimmy, as much as people want to say that, and it's nothing personal. Um, but we don't have to be okay with somebody that's just okay.
Yeah.
It's like we want to have a quarterback that can go out there and be able to win the game, you know, not have to rely on Kyle's game plan and everything, every receiver making every catch and the
Yep.
run game being on and the defense being on. Like,
No pass interference calls, no
right.
holding calls. Like we everything worked out perfectly for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Their team playing like crap, their team having drops, their team getting penalties. It's like every little domino fell our way for us to win that game.
Absolutely. Like I feel like you said, I mean, it was even their receivers dropping balls. Like I don't think we had one pass interference call, right? If we, no, I think we
Right.
had one, the one on K1, which shouldn't have been anyway, because within the 5 yards, the one where he caught the interception on his butt. But
Yeah.
other than that, like we
The
were
dick
good.
pic.
Like all of us were good. So it's like, yeah, that one, yeah, the dick, yeah. But it's like, yeah, you're right though. Everything worked perfectly. Hey, Melissa, everything worked perfectly. But so how can we? So I think that's why we're not as optimistic because it's like, how are we going to see everything work perfectly for eight straight weeks? I don't see that happening. And people can say what they want because you look at the Ravens. The Ravens has more injuries on their team than we do. They lost 11 starters this year. They're like us last year,
Yeah.
but they're winning games because Lamar Jackson gets to a point where he's like, okay, this team's not playing like the Colts is the best example. They were down 24 to like 10 in the fourth quarter, and Lamar Jackson said, "Screw this, I'm getting in the zone." And he got in the zone, and his coach trusted him and said, "Do you want to go for it on fourth down? Okay, go for it." Like he went and
Right.
took that team and put it on his back with running backs off the practice squad and all that. So that's what me and Miriah are talking about: a quarterback who's going to earn that 27 million and be able to be like, okay, look, this game is not working perfectly. The defense is making mistakes. Special teams put us in some bad spots. I need to take the game and put it in my hands. I don't trust Jimmy to do that, especially if not for 8 games. So
Right.
that's what gets me discouraged about our playoff chances because not only are we in the 7th seed, but we still got to play Atlanta, which I don't care what nobody says, they give us fits every time. So we got to play Atlanta, who's searching to be who's on the outside looking in. The
Who beat us in
Vikings,
2019?
yeah, the Vikings, who are 5-5 or whatever the case, like their same record as us, and they've only lost, and all their losses are by 7 points or less. So they're in every single game. Got the Vikings, and then we have to go play Seattle at Seattle, who's in the hunt. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. Then we have to go to Cincinnati. Then we have to play 2 days before Christmas against the Titans. So we need to be careful. Like we really need to go 6-2 to be able to get into the dance. In my opinion, we have to go 10-7 to get in.
Right. And hey, Melissa, this is something I touched on at the beginning of the show is that, people saying Jimmy had a great game for just being a quarterback, for doing his job, for doing what other quarterbacks do every day and don't get praised for,
Yeah,
Um,
because
but
if you looked at those stats from, let's just say you saw those stats from Patrick Mahomes, you would say that was mediocre. What, 182 yards and 2 touchdowns? Oh, he didn't have a good game. But for Jimmy, it's great. And that's what I don't like. And that's what you touched on. It's like why are we celebrating 182 yards and 2 touchdowns? And I get it, and I'm not taking nothing from Jimmy, but let's be real. We have the best yak receiver in football.
yep.
Best one. He has 200 more yak yards than the next receiver because most of these quarterbacks hit these receivers while they're either close to the end zone or in stride, whatever the case may be. Debo takes a 10-yard pass and takes it 50. So if you look, and I'm not, like I said, was it a great throw by Jimmy on that fourth down call to Debo? Yes, I'm not taking nothing from him. It was a nice pass. It was crisp. It was on the money. It was like a 8 to 10 yard pass, but Debo took it 40 because 30 of it was after the catch. So if you take that away, and I know you can't, but he really threw for like 150, 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's just he's just blessed to have a receiver in Debo who gets that yak for him. You know what I'm saying? And he does it
Right.
almost every game, other than that game against the Bears. All Debo's long touchdowns have been either like slants or out routes or screens that he's taken to the house over 40 yards.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, that's most of where his yards, the little yards that he even has, comes from, right? Is Yak.
Exactly.
And like Melissa said, if this was Dak, if this was
Oh,
Stafford, if this was a lot of other
Josh
quarterbacks,
Allen or
and they,
somebody. Yeah.
yeah, and they pulled out a performance like this, Lamar, like he
Yeah.
gets called like he's not called a quarterback because he throws for these kind of numbers and runs
Yeah.
for a lot of, more
Yeah.
yards. Like people hate on him and call him a running back. But yet Jimmy throws for the same amount of yards and he's having his best performance of his career. Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?
But
Like
just
this,
like that commercial, okay is not okay. So
right?
just being okay is not good enough. And somebody
Exactly.
argued with me the other day, and they told me, and this is just hating on Trey Lance, which I'm getting sick of. I'm getting sick of this Trey Lance hate because we're calling Jimmy what he is. You can't really put a description on Trey yet because you don't know what he can do. But I've been hearing somebody argue with me, and I think I showed you the screenshot. Dude was arguing about me saying that if Trey was in, we would have lost because he wouldn't have been able to execute that game plan. Give me a break. Give me a break. We've ran the ball 40 times and Jimmy threw it, what, 20 times. Trey could have executed that just as much as Jimmy. Like, don't give me that nonsense. And the stuff that the stuff that Trey needs to work on, which I agree. I think Jimmy gets rid of the ball fast, and when he's on, he's on. Like, he can throw nice crisp passes. But the stuff that Trey can't do like that, he does it with his legs. So there's plays where he could have done that Jimmy couldn't have. So don't give me this Trey couldn't have executed that game plan, because that game plan was set up perfectly for Trey.
Right. And that's Jimmy's game, right? Is a quick release. And that doesn't mean that's what every quarterback does. That doesn't mean that Trey's going to practice his release so that he can have a quick release like Jimmy. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
There's plenty of quarterbacks in the league that don't have a quick release. Like, I think Jimmy's is one of the top releases in the league.
easy.
And
Yeah,
obviously that doesn't make you a great quarterback, right? So at the end of the day, who gives a shit?
yeah,
If the only
exactly.
thing you can do is have a quick release and quarterback sneak, like, I mean, what are we like this team? I don't know.
What are we talking
These
about? Yeah,
fans,
these fans.
they
Well, it's
really
funny.
need to raise their expectations
Yeah, and I funny
because
too. This fan was arguing. I don't know if you saw my post on Twitter when I was just like, look, everybody, don't pretty much give up on Trey and say we made a bad pick at quarterback to at least 2023. Give it a full season of Trey before you make this we should have got Mac Jones nonsense, okay?
right.
Because the simple fact is, if you look at it, Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen came in the same year. Baker Mayfield, after his rookie year, everybody was saying he was the better quarterback. Oh, he looked
Yep.
good. You're not saying that now.
Exactly.
You're not saying that now. So people need to realize it takes a couple years to evaluate these quarterbacks. People are so prisoner of the moment that you have this one game and they're just like, oh, Jimmy's back, he's back. Like, come, give me a break. Like, come on. I mean, like I said, it's not a hate, but stop being prisoners of the moment, because then what? If he goes out and he stinks up the joint, you're going to be quiet on Twitter. I'm not going to hear a word from you. So it's just like, people need to you know, put that to bed of, oh, we drafted the wrong quarterback. That's not fair to Trey at all. You're going off of Mac Jones's 11 games he's just played to Trey 6 quarters. Miss me with this nonsense.
Right. And like you say, we don't know what Trey is going to be except for the future quarterback. We do know that for a fact. So I still don't understand about this hate on Trey because, like it or not, Jimmy's going to be gone sooner or later. And Trey's the future. Trey is going to be the quarterback of your team. So you're going to hate your own team then when he's the quarterback? Like, that, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like the hate on somebody that's going to be your future quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And yeah, we gave our game balls earlier, and that's who I gave mine to, Melissa. I think he played great, and I think that he played great with Ward, the two of them together.
Yeah.
Predictions.
I think we're gonna win, but I think it's gonna be closer than what people think. I don't think this is going to be an easy game as people think. Like I said, they've played every team. I mean, I think they've gotten blown out once, but I think for the most part, I think the Tennessee Titans kind of blew them. I think I'm not even going to. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to say that because I'm not sure. But from what I've seen the last few games, they've been keeping it close. They play well at home, but we play great on the road. So something's got to give.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we're gonna win, but I think it's gonna be 27-21 Niners.
And I think I had seen another thing posted last night that the 49ers have never beat them at home.
Oh, really?
We've beat them in Candlestick, we beat them at Levi's, we beat them in London, but we've never beat them at
In
home.
Jacksonville.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, something's got to give.
Yes, I gotta give.
I mean, I'm gonna stick. I mean, I gotta stick with what I've been saying, and until it's consistent, I'm gonna stay consistent. So until the 49ers can show me that they can keep winning and that they can, that this team that we saw this past week just wasn't a fluke, that they actually really have their shit together. I mean, I can't change what I've been saying all year long.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 27-21 Jacksonville.
Oh, you're gonna go opposite, huh?
Yep.
Okay. And just to tell people, I'm going to say this until we're eliminated. In the last show I brought up,
Okay,
and
Kyle.
I still in the great takes too. The last thing that I brought up in the show last week was I don't have any confidence this team's going to make the playoffs. However, we're in the playoff hunt. We're in the 7th seed thanks to Atlanta now losing and getting the brakes beat off them at home. If we go and we make the playoffs, I'm going to pick one of our subscribers. You have to be subscribing to Miriah's channel and also be following us both on Twitter. I'll pick somebody's name and then you can DM me and I'll give you a hat and t-shirt of your choice of the 49ers. You just go on Fanatics and pick what you want, and then I'll send it to your address. So, but we have to make the playoffs with Jimmy at quarterback because 8 games, I don't see a team that has shown me any consistency. So,
right. And since you're bringing that up, it was brought to our attention last week during our live that we had hit 100 subscribers, over 100 subscribers now. So, after this video ends, in the comment section, not this live feed, but in the actual comment section, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So everybody that listens to this, I need you to go in the comment section and put 100 to be enrolled into the giveaway. And I'm not sure when we'll be doing our show next week because Thursday's Thanksgiving. So we're going to have to see what's going on with that. But during that show, we'll do the giveaway.
Okay.
We'll announce the giveaway during that. So yes, John V, he don't listen. He gives a shirt size. He gives 100 in here.
Remember, he's been drinking bourbon. Remember?
Yeah, I know. Can't. These people.
T-shirt medium. Hell yeah, is proud of you too. Yeah, so yeah, I'm 100. John don't listen.
I know.
It must be a Midwest thing.
A medium. He needs to work on those legs and those arms too, JV. Man.
You were a medium? That's small, man. I think my 14-year-old son has a more of a man body than you, JV.
Don't you? Doesn't he run a restaurant?
I know.
Cooks are supposed to be not skinny.
He must don't eat his food.
Man.
He must don't eat his own food.
Killing us.
My bad. We love you, John B. We love all of you guys. You guys are awesome.
Yes, we appreciate all of you guys, and yeah, we'll post once we figure out when our show will be next week. I'll let y'all know, and we'll do that giveaway. And like I said, post 100 in the comment section after this video ends to be in it. And if we don't do it before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Everybody stay safe. Have a great holiday. Enjoy your family, your friends. Make sure you tell everybody you love them. Yeah. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm thankful for all of you. TL, I appreciate you. Thankful
Oh,
for you.
always, always.
It's been a great show as always.
And I want to tell everybody, I know there's a lot of people, who like to come to Vegas. If any of you ever come to Vegas, hit me and Mariah up. We'd love to go meet you guys at the bar, at the strip or something, go have a beer. Like, I'm down. So just DM me and say, hey, T, I'll be in Vegas from X, Y, and Z. And yeah, I'll do my best to make it out to you, man.
Yeah, and that speaking of that, I heard in Spaces this week about a lot of people talking about coming to Vegas next year
That Raiders game.
for
Yep.
the Raiders game.
Yep.
And, that's something definitely, myself, my wife, TL will definitely, down to definitely be, get together with everybody and, do our best to make it to that game with you guys.
Yeah. What was talked about on Spaces was, they're all going to go through me. So they're all going to DM me. They're all going to tell us like where they're going to stay, and then I'll pick. I'll just let them know like, oh, okay, because I'm pretty familiar with all the casinos on the strip, so I can just say, hey, we can meet up at this sports book, or to show Mariah my physique.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. So yeah, well, and then we'll just say, hey, we'll meet at the Palazzo Sports Book at this and this time, and meet up, have some drinks, whatever the case may be. So yeah, we'll keep everybody posted what's going on. Melissa, that means you too. You need to try to make that trip out here, girl.
Yeah, and then also it's been brought up about the LA game, about the last game of the season.
Yeah.
When we play the Rams, I'm definitely making that trip. Myself and my wife are going, and we're also going to John Chapman's get together thing, the meet up the night prior to that. So, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing everybody there and meeting up with everybody. That should be a great time.
I wish I would have went to that Chicago game because it was free beer and brats. That would have been amazing.
I don't know about
not
brats.
just say that. What did she say? What do we say, Melissa?
I think about JV's physique.
Oh, it was a Jay-Z's physique.
Everybody would love to see your physique too, JV, I'm sure.
I'd love to if you come to New Jersey. Speaking of New Jersey, I don't know what part you live in, but I was supposed to meet me. Don't be hating, Mariah. Me and my job are supposed to be going on a work trip to New Jersey in February. So if I go, Melissa, I'll let you know. Yes, it's a work trip, not a vacation, Mariah.
I need that job, man.
Yeah, well, we do a lot of traveling. It's pretty cool.
You
know they give us. Well, it's not really that much anymore since inflation is going on, but they give us $75 a day to eat on.
What the?
And then, of course, we eat at the hotel with the free breakfast. So, because they always pick hotels that have like a warm breakfast, pancakes, waffles, and stuff like that. So we eat that. So they give us $75 a day to eat on.
That's nice. Can't beat that.
No.
We've been actually trying to make a trip to the East Coast because I have a lot of family over there, but it just seems like, one thing after another every year, and then COVID, and it's just been a mess. So hopefully next year or the year after we make it to the East Coast, and definitely I'll have to catch up with you, Melissa. But that's gonna be it until we see you guys next time. Everybody, like I said, have a great week and go Niners.
All right, fam. Thank you for tuning in.